Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about brush lettering and how you can use Crayola markers to get started. So when I first started brush lettering, all I had was these Supertip markers to start out with, and they are actually just the perfect tool to get started. And if you have some of these lying around, you can get started today too. So you don't need a huge pack like this one I have here, but if you love color and variety, then this is a really good, inexpensive option to get started. So with brush lettering, it's all about pressure that's applied to the nib. You want thin upstrokes and thick downstrokes. I have some free drill worksheets that I will leave linked down below for you. And the alphabet is basically comprised of these basic strokes, and it's important to start with drills to get your hand comfortable with the pressure. Now, the more you practice, your muscle memory will kick in and it will become first nature. So I know a lot of you might be thinking, well, wait, I want to just start with the alphabet. And I'm telling you right now that that's not the way to get started. It's best to understand these drills so that you know what you're doing, and it will make more sense to you when you are writing the alphabet. So I suggest following this video and learning a few tips that might be helpful for you. So we're gonna get started with the drills. Now when I do the drills, I like to use tracing paper. This is just Canson tracing paper. That way I don't have to keep printing out the drills over and over and over again. So I will leave the drills linked down below so you can print them out yourself, and you can use tracing paper or you don't have to. Now this first stroke is called an entrance stroke, and basically this is a thin upstroke that is typically at the beginning of a word or a letter. And this one is super important to practice to help you straighten out those shaky upstrokes. So you just start at the bottom and work your way up nice and slow with light pressure. The next stroke is called a downstroke, and this is where you apply heavy pressure to achieve a thick line. So you can experiment with the amount of pressure you want when you are applying pressure to make it even. So again, this goes with the muscle memory. The more you practice, the easier it is to achieve just an even, thick stroke. Now this next stroke is called an underturn, and this stroke looks like a U, but the focus is applying heavy pressure on the downstroke and transitioning to that thin upstroke. The next stroke is called an overturn. So this one looks like an upside down U, but here you get started with light pressure on the upstroke and transition to heavy pressure on the downstroke. Also, just another tip, as I'm sure you've already seen, when I use tracing paper, I like to adjust so that I'm saving paper, and I put the strokes as close together as possible so that I can get as much on one piece of paper. So this next stroke is called a compound curve. This combines both the underturn and the overturn, and you are going from a light to heavy to a light pressure again, and this is frequently used throughout the alphabet. So it's good to practice in order to focus on those transitions from light to heavy back to light pressure again. The next stroke is called an oval, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but this can be the trickiest stroke to achieve. The hardest part is making sure that you let off enough pressure to see the variation between thin and thick strokes, and also having to find that starting point of your oval can be difficult too once you're coming around. So it's important on this one to go slower until you get the hang of it. And this next stroke is called an ascending loop, and it's used in letters like H and B. And you start with a thin upstroke in the middle of where you are going to be coming down on that thick downstroke. And the last stroke is called a descending loop, and this is used in letters like J, Y, and G. So this one you start with a thick downstroke and you come all the way down, and then you bring it back up with light pressure to pretty much like midway of the thick downstroke. So let's go over 4 key tips when you are practicing. So one is going to be focus on light pressure for upstrokes, and this is going to be anytime you're going in the upward motion with your pen. This is probably the hardest to achieve because naturally our hand can be a little bit shaky. The good thing with these Crayola markers is that the tip is very firm, so it helps you to be able to create a nicer thin upstroke versus some brush pens who have a very soft tip. It makes it very difficult to have a nice thin upstroke. Okay, now 2 is going to be focus on heavy pressure for your downstrokes. So anytime you are pulling your pen toward you, that would be a downstroke. And you want that to have heavy pressure. And again, you want it to be heavy enough that you can see a variation between the thin and the thick strokes. Three is going to be to practice your drills. So many times people want to go straight to the alphabet and writing words. And that's fine if you're the type of person who just wants to jump right into it, but I'm telling you, doing the drills will help you tremendously. So do your drills, and you can do that in combination with practicing your alphabet too if you want, but your drills are so important just to even get your hand warmed up in the beginning. And tip number 4 is going to be to pick up your pen between strokes. So in so this is where brush lettering differentiates between cursive. Cursive, you just continuously write. So with brush lettering, you are picking up your pen quite often. So here I'm going to write the word beautiful, and I'm going to change colors every time I pick up my pen so you can see how many times I actually do pick up my pen. So this is why I say it's important to learn those strokes, because these lowercase letters are comprised of all of these basic strokes that we just went over. So as you can see, I pick up my pen quite often. Now, if you are interested in learning more about brush lettering, I have a free basics course, and I also have a full paid beginners course as well. I also do sell just worksheets in my Etsy shop, so I will leave all the links below for you if you want to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to clear things up for you. Brush lettering is actually a lot easier than it seems once you get the hang of it. Just keep practicing those drills.